Jamie thought life was already hard enough, growing up with autism in a small countryside town. But when her grandpa died and she had to move in with her stepsister Sophia, the most popular girl in school, things got worse. Way worse. Because Sophia has one rule: don't ever tell anyone we're sisters. But one day, that secret gets exposed in front of the entire school. And what happens next will change both their lives forever. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, because here, we share powerful life lessons through real and relatable stories. The city felt louder than Jamie ever imagined. Car horns blared, buses hissed, and somewhere nearby, a siren wailed. For someone like Jamie, who'd grown up in her grandparents' quiet countryside home, it was overwhelming. Her headphones, soft pink with fading cartoon stickers, barely helped drown out the noise. But nothing terrified her more than today. Her first day at Brookwood High. She clutched her backpack straps tightly, rocking slightly on her heels the way she did when she was nervous. Her mom brushed a strand of hair from her face and smiled gently. "You'll be fine, sweetheart," she whispered. "Sophia goes here too. She'll look out for you." Jamie wanted to believe that, but Sophia wasn't exactly the looking out type. Inside the school, the hallway buzzed with life. Lockers slammed. Friends squealed as they reunited after summer break. Everyone seemed to already belong somewhere except Jamie. Her steps were small, careful, her eyes fixed on the patterned floor tiles to avoid the chaos around her. But even without looking up, she felt the stares. A few students whispered. Someone giggled behind her. She didn't know why, until she heard it. "Hey, what's with the weird walk?" a boy muttered loudly. Another laughed. "She looks like a lost robot." Jamie's chest tightened, and she picked up her pace. She had read about this before, the way kids treated people who were different. Still, reading about it didn't prepare her for the sting. Finally, she spotted Sophia down the hall, laughing with a group of perfectly dressed friends. Relief washed over Jamie. Her stepsister would help her, or so she thought. "Sophia," Jamie called softly, lifting a small wave. Sophia froze. Her friends turned, curious. And then Sophia's smile dropped. In two long strides, she reached Jamie, grabbed her wrist, and pulled her into a corner away from the others. Her voice was low but sharp, like broken glass. "Don't ever do that again," she hissed. Jamie blinked, confused. "Do what?" "Call me Sophia in public. Actually, don't call me at all." Sophia's grip tightened before she released her. "And listen carefully, Jamie. No one here knows we're stepsisters, and I plan to keep it that way. Got it?" Jamie hesitated, her throat dry. "But, Mom said you'd help me." "I'm helping you," Sophia cut her off coldly, "by making sure you don't ruin my reputation. So, keep your head down, don't talk to me, and definitely don't tell anyone we're related." Jamie's lips trembled, but she nodded. Sophia gave one last glance at her friends, watching, waiting, then plastered on a fake smile and strutted back, leaving Jamie alone by the lockers. Somewhere deep inside, Jamie wished she could disappear. But little did she know, this was only the beginning. The first bell rang, and the hallways erupted into chaos. Jamie clutched her schedule tightly, her hands trembling as she tried to find room 2B. Students darted past her, their laughter bouncing off the walls like it belonged to another world. One she didn't understand and didn't fit into. She stopped in front of a row of lockers, double-checking her paper, her lips moving silently as she read. "Science, second floor, room 2B. Lost already?" The voice came from behind her, high-pitched, mocking, and dripping with sarcasm. Jamie turned and saw a girl with perfectly styled hair, glossy lips, and nails so sharp they looked dangerous. She was flanked by two friends, both wearing the same smug expression. Jamie shook her head timidly. "And no, I'm just looking for my class." The girl tilted her head, pretending to think. "Ah, that's cute. Maybe you should draw yourself a map next time. You know, like in kindergarten." Her friends burst out laughing. Jamie felt her cheeks burn, her ears buzzing as her throat closed up. She wanted to disappear, to melt into the walls, but her feet stayed rooted in place. Before she could respond, Sophia's familiar laugh cut through the noise. Jamie's eyes lit up with relief. Finally, someone she knew. But as Sophia approached with her friends, that relief turned to dread. The glossy-haired girl grinned and pointed at Jamie. "Oh my God, Sophia. Look at this one. Lost on day one. Do you know her?" For a split second, Jamie thought Sophia might defend her. She had to, right? But Sophia's laugh was louder than the others. "Her? No idea," she said casually, tossing her perfect curls back. "She's, probably one of those weird countryside transfers." Jamie froze. The word stung worse than any slap. The girl smirked. "Figures. Explains the outfit." More laughter. Jamie turned, gripping her schedule tighter, trying to ignore them. But the whispers followed. Robot walk. Farm girl. Freak. Her breathing quickened. She counted her steps under her breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, trying to calm herself the way her therapist had taught her. But it didn't work. Not here. Not now. By lunch, the rumors had spread like wildfire. Everywhere Jamie went, there were stares and muffled laughs. In the cafeteria, she spotted an empty table in the far corner and hurried over, setting down her tray and lowering her gaze. A few minutes later, Sophia and her friends swept into the room like royalty entering a palace. The entire table near the center erupted with energy and excitement as everyone greeted them. Sophia thrived in the attention, smiling and tossing her hair, soaking up every compliment. Jamie tried to make herself smaller, hunching over her food, but it didn't matter. The glossy-haired girl from earlier, her name was Tasha, Jamie overheard, leaned close to Sophia, whispering loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Did you see the way she eats? Like a little kid." Laughter exploded around the table. Jamie's chest tightened, her eyes blurring with tears she refused to let fall. And then, Sophia spoke. "You guys stop," she said firmly. For a fleeting second, Jamie thought maybe, just maybe, her stepsister was about to defend her. But then Sophia added, "Don't tease her too much. She'll probably cry. And we don't want the weird girl drama on day one." The laughter grew louder, echoing like thunder. Jamie stood abruptly, grabbing her tray and stumbling toward the exit. She nearly tripped, her sneakers squeaking against the floor. Someone shouted, "Careful, robot girl!" And the cafeteria roared again. She didn't stop until she reached the empty girl's bathroom, locking herself inside a stall. Her hands shook violently as she pressed them against her ears, rocking gently on the cold toilet seat. "I hate this," she whispered to herself. "I hate this place. I hate them. I hate me." But somewhere deep down, beneath the humiliation and pain, something else was brewing. Something she couldn't quite name yet. Because this was only the beginning, and soon everything would change. The next few days were worse than Jamie ever imagined. Whispers followed her everywhere. Laughter trailed behind her like a shadow. Even when she sat in the back of the class, trying to stay invisible, someone always found a way to remind her she didn't belong. "Hey, robot girl. Country freak. Don't get too close. It's contagious." Jamie tried to ignore them, just like her mom had told her. But every word carved deeper into her chest until it felt like she was carrying an invisible weight. At night, she buried her face in her pillow, wishing she could go back to her grandparents' quiet countryside home, where the loudest sound was the wind rustling through the fields, not mocking laughter. But Grandpa was gone, and she was here, stuck. By Thursday, things escalated. Jamie sat in science class, doodling on her notebook to stay calm while Mr. Harris lectured at the front. Suddenly, she noticed something strange, a faint snickering behind her. When she glanced back, Tasha and her friends were whispering, passing a phone between them. Jamie couldn't see the screen, but her stomach dropped when she heard one of them mutter, "Wait until everyone sees this." She forced herself to focus on the board, but her gut told her something bad was coming. Came during lunch. Jamie had barely sat down with her tray when she heard it. Laughter, louder than usual, rippling across the cafeteria. Tasha stood on top of one of the tables, waving her phone high in the air. "Everyone, check out the new video," she shouted. Jamie froze. Within seconds, phones lit up across the room. And then she heard it. Her own voice, shaky, awkward, counting under her breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was a secretly recorded video from earlier that morning. Jamie rocking gently in the hallway, whispering numbers to herself, trying to calm down. The caption under the video read, "Autistic robot rebooting." Robot face with tears of joy. The cafeteria exploded with laughter. Jamie's throat burned, her hands gripping the edges of her tray so tightly her knuckles went white. She couldn't breathe. The noise was everywhere, crushing her, drowning her. And then, she heard Sophia's voice. At first, Jamie hoped, prayed Sophia would defend her. But instead, Sophia laughed too. Not as loud as the others, but loud enough for Jamie to hear. Something inside her cracked. She shoved her tray aside and ran. Down the hallway, past the lockers, past the stairs. She didn't stop until she reached the emergency exit door behind the gym. She shoved it open and stumbled outside, collapsing onto the concrete steps. Her chest heaved as she hugged her knees, rocking back and forth. Her soft pink headphones crushed against her ears even though no music played. She pressed the pads tighter, trying to block out the world. For the first time since moving here, Jamie let the tears fall. But then, a voice. "Jamie?" She looked up, startled. It was Ethan, a quiet boy from her science class. Thin, messy brown hair, oversized hoodie, and kind eyes that didn't look at her the way everyone else's did. I saw what they posted," he said softly, sitting on the step a few feet away. "It wasn't funny." Jamie sniffled, avoiding his gaze. "Everyone thought it was." "Not everyone," Ethan replied. I get it. My little brother's on the spectrum too. People don't understand, but that doesn't mean something's wrong with you." For the first time in days, Jamie's shoulders relaxed just a little. "You don't have to talk," Ethan added quickly. "But if you want, I can show you a quiet spot in the library. Hardly anyone goes there. It helps when I need to get away." Jamie hesitated, then nodded slowly. And as they walked toward the library together, something small but powerful shifted inside her. For the first time, Jamie felt like maybe, just maybe, she wasn't completely alone. But what she didn't know was that things were about to get far worse. And soon, she'd face a moment that would test everything. Her courage, her patience, and even her love for the sister who betrayed her. The hallway smelled faintly of floor polish and teenage sweat, buzzing with the chaos of lunchtime chatter. Jamie clutched her tray tightly, her knuckles pale as she stood at the edge of the cafeteria, scanning for an empty table. The hum of voices felt deafening, like static in her ears, and her breathing grew shallow. Crowds were hard for her. They always had been. Sophia sat at the center table. Her perfectly straightened hair shimmered under the harsh fluorescent lights, and her signature laugh carried across the room like a signal of dominance. Everyone watched her. Everyone wanted to be her. Jamie hesitated. For the past 3 weeks, Sophia had made it painfully clear. "Don't you ever tell anyone we're related." Those words still echoed in her head from that first morning at school. "Listen to me," Sophia had hissed, grabbing Jamie's wrist so hard it left a faint red mark. "You stay invisible. You don't sit with me. You don't talk to me. And God help you if anyone finds out we're sisters." Jamie had nodded then, swallowing hard, not trusting her voice. But today, things were about to change. She spotted an empty table by the window and started toward it when suddenly, a group of Sophia's friends blocked her path. Madison, Sophia's right-hand girl, smirked as she looked Jamie up and down. "Well, if it isn't Jamie the robot," Madison sneered, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "What's wrong? Can't figure out how to sit at a table like a normal person?" Laughter erupted. Jamie froze, hugging her tray closer to her chest. Her throat tightened, and words tangled in her head, refusing to come out. "Cat got your tongue?" Madison mocked, tilting her head dramatically. "Or maybe you're just running some Software updates? More laughter. Jamie's eyes burned, but she held it in. She was used to it. She'd learned to be used to it. Then, someone from the crowd shouted, "Hey, isn't she Sophia's sister?" The cafeteria went silent. Heads turned. Every pair of eyes darted from Jamie to Sophia. Sophia slammed her soda can onto the table, the fizz spilling onto her manicured fingers. She stood, her chair screeching against the floor. "She is not my sister." Sophia's voice cracked like a whip through the silence. "I don't even know her. Don't ever say that again." Jamie's chest constricted. The sting of Sophia's words hit harder than any insult Madison had ever thrown at her. It was like someone had punched the air out of her lungs. A murmur swept through the cafeteria. Madison smirked wider, sensing blood in the water. "Wow, Soph," she said loudly. "That's cold. Poor robot girl doesn't even have her own family." The laughter returned, harsher, uglier this time. Jamie couldn't take it anymore. She turned and bolted, her tray crashing to the floor, food splattering across her shoes. The sound echoed like a slap in the quiet aftermath of Sophia's denial. She ran until the noise of the cafeteria faded behind her, ducking into the girls' restroom and locking herself in a stall. Her breaths came ragged, uneven. She buried her face in her hands, the tears finally spilling free. In that moment, she promised herself one thing. She would never forgive Sophia, but fate had other plans. Because later that day, something would happen in the school parking lot. Something that would flip their entire world upside down. The bell rang for third period, and the science lab buzzed with noise as students prepared for a chemistry experiment. Beakers clinked, Bunsen burners hissed, and the air smelled faintly of alcohol and cleaning agents. Jamie sat at the farthest table, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Science days always made her anxious. Too many smells, too much heat, too many moving pieces. She had her noise-canceling earbuds in, hoping they'd help her focus. Across the room, Sophia leaned against the counter, laughing with her friends like she always did. The queen bee, untouchable, untamed, glowing under the spotlight. Mr. Lewis, their teacher, clapped his hands. "Okay, everyone careful today. We're working with flammable liquids. Follow the steps exactly, and no playing around." But Sophia's friend Tasha was already whispering a joke that made Sophia snort and tap her pencil against the edge of her beaker. Jamie noticed the lighter too close to the alcohol but hesitated to say anything. Speaking up was hard, especially when Sophia was around. Then it happened. A sudden whoosh, and the corner table erupted into flames. A student had knocked over a beaker, spilling alcohol onto a burner. Within seconds, smoke curled toward the ceiling, and someone screamed, "Fire! Everyone, get out! Now!" Mr. Lewis shouted, grabbing the extinguisher. The room exploded into chaos. Chairs scraped, glass shattered, and students pushed past each other to escape. Jamie froze, her chest tightened, her ears rang, and everything became too loud, too fast. The smell of burning chemicals stung her nose. Through the haze, she saw Sophia coughing violently, trapped at the back of the room. A shelf had collapsed near her station, and flames blocked the closest exit. "Help!" Sophia's voice cracked, shrill and panicked. Jamie's body trembled, her mind screaming at her to run like everyone else. But then another thought cut through the noise. Sophia's your sister, whether she liked it or not. Jamie pulled out her earbuds, her breath shaky, and whispered to herself, "One step at a time, just one step." She darted toward the back of the lab, shielding her face from the heat. Her hands shook as she grabbed the fire blanket from the wall. "Sophia!" Jamie called, her voice small but steady. Sophia's tear-streaked face turned, eyes wide in disbelief. "Jamie? What are you doing? Go!" But Jamie didn't stop. She ducked under the smoke, wrapped the fire blanket around Sophia, and pulled her away from the flames. Every second felt like an eternity. The crackling of fire, the screaming of alarms, the pounding of her heart. When they finally stumbled into the hallway, Sophia collapsed against the wall, coughing hard. Jamie knelt beside her, her own lungs burning, hands shaking. You came back for me? Sophia rasped, her voice hoarse. Jamie nodded, still breathless. Of course I did. We're sisters. For the first time since Jamie moved in, Sophia didn't roll her eyes. She just stared at Jamie. Not as the weird, quiet girl from the countryside, but as the person who saved her life. Behind them, firefighters rushed in and Mr. Lewis tried calming the remaining students. But for Jamie and Sophia, the world had gone strangely silent, like the moment before a storm. Sophia reached out with a trembling hand and squeezed Jamie's fingers, just for a second, before quickly letting go. Neither of them said anything, but something between them had shifted. The entire school was buzzing the next day. Whispers followed Jamie everywhere she went, but for the first time, they weren't mean. Did you hear? Jamie went back into the lab. She saved Sophia's life. I'd have never guessed she was that brave. Jamie didn't know how to process any of it. Attention always made her anxious, but this felt different. She wasn't being laughed at. She was being admired. Sophia, on the other hand, looked like a ghost. Her once perfect reputation didn't matter now. Not when she owed her life to the very person she had spent months humiliating. At lunch, she found Jamie standing awkwardly by the vending machine, clutching her sandwich. Everyone nearby went quiet as Sophia approached, their phones half raised, expecting drama. Sophia hesitated, swallowing hard. Then, softly, she said, Jamie,
I'm sorry.
Jamie blinked, confused. For what? Sophia's voice cracked. For everything. For pretending you didn't exist. For making people laugh at you. For acting like I was better than you. She glanced at the floor, tears pooling in her eyes. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but thank you for saving me. Jamie stood frozen, her brain scrambling to process the moment. Her fingers tapped against her sandwich wrapper. A coping habit she didn't even notice anymore. Finally, she whispered, You're my sister. That's what family does. Sophia's breath hitched. The entire cafeteria seemed to exhale at once. For the first time since Jamie had started at this school, people weren't looking at her like she was different. They were looking at her like she was extraordinary. The next morning, Jamie and Sophia walked to school together, their backpacks slung casually over their shoulders. The hallways were brighter somehow, filled with chatter and laughter. But this time they felt different. They felt like they belonged. Students who had once whispered or stared now smiled warmly. Some even waved. Jamie's heart lifted a little. She had never imagined that a single act of courage could change how people saw her. Sophia nudged her gently. Come on, let's grab our seats. I've got a feeling today's going to be different. Jamie smiled. Different in a good way? Sophia grinned. Definitely. We've earned it. In class, the teacher called on Jamie to answer a question. Her voice was steady, confident, and the room listened. Around her, whispers of admiration replaced the old sneers. And when she glanced at Sophia, her sister's encouraging smile said it all. She was no longer alone. After school, the two of them sat on the steps outside, sharing a bag of chips and laughing like they hadn't in years. The bond that had been strained by misunderstanding and distance had finally been repaired. Jamie looked at Sophia, her heart full. You know, I was scared for a while that nothing would ever be the same. Sophia shook her head. Nothing has to stay the same forever. We can make it better. Together. Jamie smiled, the sunlight catching in her hair. Together, she agreed. And as they walked home side by side, the school behind them seemed smaller somehow, the future bigger and brighter. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Jamie knew one thing for certain. She was strong. She was brave. And she would always have her sister by her side. Sometimes the people we least expect are the ones who stand by us when it matters most. True family isn't about perfection. It's about love, forgiveness, and standing together through the fire. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss more inspiring stories from our channel. Drop a comment below. Tell us where you're watching from or what this story taught you. Thank you.